All right, welcome to our track session. This is obviously the customer experience track. We got 2 more tracks down the hallway for customer success and digital customer experience. We get the privilege of starting off with a great panel, transforming customer experience from data to delight, human-centered CX strategies that drive impact. So Avi, Andy, and Deanna, I'll let you guys kick it off. So welcome.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to moderate this session, Transforming Customer Experience. And what we're really going to talk about today is how we use data, how we use multicultural strategies, AI, to improve our customer experience, and journey mapping to improve our customer experience. I'm going to have 2 panelists here introduce themselves and where they're from. We'll start here with Andy.
All right, good. Is it morning? Okay, there's a beep. All right,
Yeah.
My name is Andy Watson. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Contact Center Solutions at Ringcentral. As you can tell from the accent, I'm not from around here, but love this weather. Really excited to be here and have a chat with you guys this morning.
And Avi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chaudhury. I currently work for the City of Toronto as a Senior Project Manager. I am helping our Transformation Services Department in transit expansion create a brand new PMO for our business that's expanding. Previous to working in the city, I worked for employers like Metrolinx, and also I've done significant work during COVID in the healthcare sector as well. Thank you.
Okay, great. So let's talk first about multicultural strategy. A lot of times multicultural strategy is kind of embedded more as a marketing strategy, not as a CX strategy. Speak to how you can embed it and how you have, within your contact centers, embedded it into your CX strategies.
Sure. So at Ringcentral, for those of you that aren't familiar with us, we're a communications provider that do business in, I think it's 46 countries around the world. So North America, South America, Europe, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Asia. One of the things that we see is, the definition of what a good customer experience or what a good journey looks like can be very different depending on the culture, the country that you're selling into. I'm from the US. It's very common for us to offer service in English and Spanish. Here, probably I would guess English and maybe a little bit of French.
French, yeah.
We do business in the UK. They use a lot of WhatsApp voice. So all of these, different cultural differences, you have to be able to account for those. You can't just make it a one-size-fits-all approach because, what's good for me, may be very different for someone in South America when it comes to, they may want to handle everything from their phone using a chat. Others, all phone all the time. So, so that approach can be very different. But then, we can't do a session without talking about AI. So I'll go ahead and dive into it. When you're using AI to process languages and you're looking at different, you're processing speech in different languages, how are you processing that? There are kind of 2 different ways you can do it. You can process the actual recording, or some strategies are you translate the recording to typically English, and then you look at the transcript. The challenge when you do that is you miss out on a lot of richness in that data, right? Voice is, it's the richest medium that we have, right? It can pick out the difference in this was horrible and this was horrible, right? Same words, very different meaning depending on the sentiment and the tone. Then you also, when you're talking about, what does a good call look like? What's a good talking speed for an agent? Maybe very different for the US, Canada, Mexico, very, very different. So you need that customization to be able to really, tweak those models, even for a specific business. Some businesses have very specific rules, even in the US, that are very different from their competitors. So the flexibility there, I think, is really important.
And before getting to Avi, so when you're going into new countries, so whether it is Andy AI or whether it is some of the other, using WhatsApp, that sort of thing, how do you know those differences? What's the process you go through to understand those differences going into those countries so that you're aware of those multicultural changes?
Oh, that was for me.
That
Sorry.
was for you.
I think it's very important to have a local presence.
Okay.
We have some of our local Toronto guys here. We've got local teams in the UK that, when we're building out a feature, I'm in marketing. I want to promote the heck out of it, but I check with them, hey, is this really going to resonate? Do people care about this? So understanding those tendencies and, the different use cases, I think it's really important.
Okay. And Avi, how are you looking at those multicultural differences as you're looking at transportation within Toronto?
So, my biggest thing is I'd like to say that Canada is a multicultural country and Toronto is a melting pot. And he's here visiting, but he's part of this pot today.
Yeah.
With that being said, the needs of the people are different and unique to each person. When we put the customer journey in the forefront of AI, that's where we really serve the needs of whoever it is that we are trying to serve. AI is not at the forefront, the customers are. Everybody's needs are unique, and that has to be respected, that has to be understood, and that has to be addressed unique to those individuals' needs.
Okay. Okay, so we've gotten into AI, as we have in every session today and yesterday, but where are you seeing the biggest value, Andy, from AI across that end-to-end customer experience?
Yeah, I think, every business is going to be different, but the overall trend that I see is time. AI is a time saver. It's not magic. It's not going to instantly fix every business problem, but what it can do is find you time. We have a law firm who, they're using our products to take intake calls. And law firms are very specific about getting all the details right. And if you're depending on a human to take those notes and manually transcribe those, number one, it's error prone. Number two, it takes a lot of time. So if we can save 2 or 3 minutes by automatically transcribing that, syncing that to whatever system you're using, and that saves you 3 or 4 minutes a call, that's huge. We have a healthcare company that is rapidly growing, and when you're onboarding new agents, that typically is going to take a month, 2 months to get them to where they're used to answering the types of questions that come in. There's a learning curve there. We're using our real-time AI to give them guidance. When a customer asks about this, AI is going to look up that answer for you and present that to you. So if it's a question about a specific insurance policy or procedure, you don't have to be the expert. And they've gotten their onboarding time down to about a week. So the pain points can all be different, whether it's onboarding or handle time or abandon calls, but really the biggest benefit is time.
And I want to jump to the next question, and I'll ask Avi both, but where's the biggest friction, though? Because there is friction, too. Where are you finding that?
Yeah, I think the biggest, I don't want to say mistake, but maybe misconception we had 10, 15 years ago was that customers wanted self-service. They wanted it. Yeah. And what did we do? We gave them the chatbot. And I see a couple of people cringing, and that's perfectly okay, because chatbots 15 years ago, they were, I'm going to date myself here. I grew up in the late 70s and 80s. I had a TV that got 3 channels. Didn't have satellite dish, didn't have cable. I was stuck with exactly what was on, when it was on. If I wanted something else, I had to go make a friend with somebody. That's what a chatbot was like, yes. Right? It knew 3 things. If you didn't, it didn't need one of those 3 things, we were trained to, press 0 or say operator or agent. Bad experience. We were using chatbots to deflect calls, and what that really did was it really just delayed people in finding a solution unless it was one of those very specific use cases. Fast forward to today, we've kind of shifted from deflection to automation. We can have natural language conversations with these, and I tell our salespeople, and I heard one of y'all say it today, I'm not going to say who, Colin, say the word chatbot. I beg our salespeople never to use that word because we have such a visceral reaction to those. AI agents are very conversational. It's like my TV now. I can tell it season 3, episode 4 of Schitt's Creek, and it'll find that for me instantly, right? That's what we can do today is this mix of either fully autonomous agents that can solve everything from start to finish, saving time, saving money, or maybe it can just collect some of that information at first, validate who the person is, and then pass them on so that that human agent, we're saving them time in that manual, what's your name, what's your number, what's your account number process.
Yeah, I experienced that at when I was at Porter Airlines with our chatbot. It's not only does it not provide that right experience, it actually can increase your costs and your service costs as well. But Avi, you speak as well to the value that you've seen in your work of AI and some of the friction.
Sure. So I'll start with the frustration because I think what Andy said kind of struck a chord with me as well. So one of the things is I know yesterday my wife was trying to book a spa appointment, and when she called in, it was an AI that answered because she had it on speaker, and I could see her reaction and her interaction. It was, I want to go Thursday, 10:30 p.m. She actually didn't tell the AI agent that we just rescued a new 7-month-old puppy and that she's chewing all our baseboards in the house. It was very, very plastic, very, very scheduled to only do what it is. I think a lot of organizations, and I just mentioned in the first question as well, a lot of organizations are trying to solve for human interactions with AI. That is not going to happen. You do need the human connection, and AI is the elevation to take your business, to take your pitch, to take your organization to the next transformation through successful change management. But the plastic element will always there unless you have human intervention. What it does do on a very, very positive note is AI accelerates your processes. You feed it data that you need, synthesized. It'll give you that reaction or it'll give you that output in an instant. However, it is at this point that you as a human being need to come in, validate the data, and then take it to the next level to implement it to the senior organizations or to your stakeholders that you are reporting to have, again, human-centric discussions and resolutions. AI can give you recommendations, but ultimately how you implement those recommendations have to be human. That cannot be AI-driven.
Okay, let's talk a bit about feedback and how you integrate feedback from your customers, from your frontline team members, so that you actually enhance and improve your customer experience. And I'll start with you, Abby, because I know you've got a healthcare example you spoke about.
So I'll actually give you an example. So during COVID, I worked in a very humbling experience managing COVID clinics in a hospital in the east of Toronto. Difficult times, lots of people coming in, people from diverse backgrounds coming in with different issues, not only COVID, but other things as well. And there was a clear language barrier. We do have staff members on site that come in as translators, but because of the sheer volume of individuals who were coming in, we could not cope up. At that point, if we had an AI in the moment translator tool that would help the physician or the nurse or the PSW connect with the patient that was needing the kind of aid that they were looking for, that would have been the best solution, but we did not have it then. Perhaps we have that now.
Okay. But in terms of, you had another project you worked with where you integrated feedback you heard from your frontline team members and during that COVID period to kind of modify some of the services that you provided.
Yes. So in terms of the feedback, again, healthcare is such a vast industry. People are always wanting to come into a clean organization. They want to feel welcome. They are constantly watching. They are constantly judging you to see, how clean is this place. They judge you by the looks of the building. They judge you by the first interaction with the housekeeper that maybe welcomes you. And they also judge you by finally the care that you get. So in terms of having a very open feedback loop, not only from your patients and your visitors, but also in terms of once we delegate work to our frontline staff and how, for me, it's very easy to sit in an office and ask my frontline staff to do a myriad of different things. But it's actually those individuals who are executing on that. So having a very open feedback loop and implementing that feedback into actionable goals that really takes the organization to the next level, because ultimately everything has to roll up to what the mission, vision, and values of the organization are. That's what we are looking for.
Okay, great. Andy, can you speak to that?
So show of hands, how many of you are actually actively collecting feedback from your customers? Like after an interaction, after a call, how many of you are getting 100% feedback from all your customers? Okay, it's the same here as in the US, amazing. So I ordered dinner from a local restaurant the other day, and 3 out of the 4 orders were wrong. They happened to send me an email of, hey, how did we do? Well, naturally I'll let them have it. And now I have a free dinner. But it's pretty common that the only time that we fill out that survey, or your customers fill out that survey, is when they're really upset. So if you're looking at that feedback, and typically it's going to be very skewed towards the negative, you might get an incomplete picture of what your customers are actually thinking. So one of the things that AI can help with is analyzing all these conversations. And I was talking to, I don't know if they're in the room, some of our customers from a healthcare company. We can automate that. Think about the questions you would ask in a customer satisfaction survey. Was it solved in a reasonable amount of time? Was the customer happy? Was the agent professional? If we can analyze that with AI and do that for every call, you're going to get a more complete view of what your customers think, as opposed to that 10 to 15% that just flat out hate you, or maybe the ones that love you. So being able to gather that feedback is important, but to your point, you got to do something with that feedback.
Yeah.
You can't just collect all this data and then not do anything with it. So analyzing the data and pulling out, okay, what are the main reasons that customers are calling? Okay, maybe there's an automation opportunity. If 90% of our calls are about making an appointment, and that's a repeatable action that we can do. Well, we can take that, maybe we can automate that, or maybe we can train our agents on, 90% of your calls are going to be about this. Here's how to do it right every time. Churn risks. If you're just depending on manual surveys, all of your customers are churn risks. But if you can pick out, the actual signals of churn and retention risk, and monitor those, after the fact, so you can reach out to those customers, or maybe even know when those customers are calling in again, or if those signals are happening, and a supervisor can be made aware that, one of our biggest customers is on the call. I need to pay attention to this one right now, so that if it goes bad, I'm there to help. So, that insights to action feedback loop is something that we're starting to see be really important.
But how do you take that, so you're getting that feedback from that customer, you're putting it through AI, and you're getting sentiment analysis essentially fairly quickly, actions. How do you integrate that with other, maybe live feedback, along with feedback from your frontline team members, which I've found from my past lives, a lot of times the frontline team members can dead on know where the issues are as well. So how do you kind of integrate all 3 of those together?
Yeah, I think what's important is we talk about this concept of an AI governance committee, where you need a dedicated team to looking at customer feedback and your agent feedback. And then, okay, now that we know what the feedback is, now we put it into action. So it has to be something you're doing intentionally. It can't just, somebody does it in their spare time. Oh, look what we found out. There needs to be a dedicated initiative to focus on those things and then implement them.
Okay. If a CX leader is building a case for AI, how would you advise them in terms of building an ROI?
Well, the first thing that I would really start with is, who are you talking to? You're probably going to be talking to a CFO who's going to give you funding for this, right? I need to build an ROI for X. And that's one of the challenges we saw maybe 3 or 4 years ago, was people were just going out and buying AI because it was the coolest, newest thing, and it's finally real. It's not science fiction, so go out and get it for us, and then we'll figure out what it's going to do for us. And that's kind of the backwards way to do it. So really what it starts with is, what are your pain points? Make a list of your 10 biggest challenges. Okay. Is it abandoned calls? Is it agents quitting? Is it customer satisfaction is dwindling? Is it, we're not solving problems? And you can, once you have that list, okay, now how do we track that? It's got to be something you can track. If you're going to build an ROI, the R stands for the return. You have to have a return on, this KPI that you're tracking. Then, and only then, should you look at a solution to help with that. Right?
Thank you.
If you buy a, quote, chatbot because you have agent attrition, that might actually cause more agent attrition. So figuring out, what's a good solution, and then we stack rank them. What's the risk? What's the cost? Is the data there? AI doesn't run without data. So do you have data to train that AI to do self-service or help your teams in real time? Is there something there? Because if you just create a chatbot that just has this blank
So we
slate-
weren't using the word chatbot.
I know, and I'm using it in a negative sense, see? But it's old habits die hard. The data is what makes it all go. So if the data's not there, and then once you have all that, you can kind of stack rank them. Okay, here's number one. This is where we get started. We're going to start with quality management and reviewing all these interactions and automating that part of it. Quick win. Auto summaries. Hey, we're taking too long to get from the end of the call to the next call because the agents are trying to take their notes. Quick win there. So start with one, build that out, build out that ROI, and then you've got a use case for the next investment and the next one and the next one. So it's really not about a single solution, it's about building out a roadmap of continuous improvement over time.
Kind of on that, as you're looking at building a scalable, customer-centric decision-making organization, where would you start? And I'm actually going to take AI out of that as an option. I'm not saying not to start with AI, but and you've kind of just touched on this, what do you need in place for that transformation to get to that place? Before you start with AI, maybe we'll first start with Avi.
People. So, at the heart of it all is people. And I'll actually give you a personal example just so that you know. So, I have two boys. They are 9 and 11 now. They are on the autism spectrum. Once I discovered years back that they were on the autism spectrum, my physician said that they are on the autism spectrum. You would benefit from therapy. That was it. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what kind of therapy is available. I did not know. Now I know that the province provides a lot of supports for families with children who are neurodivergent. But that was a discovery session that I had to do in myself. Fast forward to today, I run a very small not-for-profit helping adults with autism find meaningful and gainful employment. But as part of that, one of the things that I am trying to work on now is trying to create a AI-driven solution for parents who have just discovered that somebody in their family has autism. And for those of you who know or do not know, autism comes in different levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. Some can be low functioning, some can be high functioning. Based on that, even within the high functioning bracket or the low functioning bracket, there is actually a spectrum. So if we are able to put the person in the front and create a solution for Avi's younger son, that's the solution we are looking for. We are not trying to find a solution for everybody who's high-functioning autistic level 2, because that's not going to work.
Okay, and Andy?
Yeah, I think, number one, it starts with, figuring out what the challenge is in the customer journey. Like when we deploy a new customer, we spend weeks defining, okay, what does a good customer journey look like? When they call in, when they come to your website, what do you want to say? What do you want to hear? What do they need to do? How do you connect them to an agent? Is there any automation in there? And so we have this idea of what the perfect customer journey looks like, but inevitably it breaks.
Yeah, what's the problems you're trying to solve,
right.
essentially, you're looking at.
And so And then it goes beyond, just kind of what's happening, but why is it happening?
Yeah.
Okay, we're losing 40% of customers when we are on hold beyond 2 minutes. Okay, that's the what. Well, what's the why? Okay, well, because we don't have enough agents, or we're not offering something like callback, or customers don't know that they can go to our website and do this. So there are little ways that you can tweak those customer journeys to build out a better experience to cover every customer, not just the perfect customer in your mind that's going to do it exactly how you want them to do it, because more than likely they're not.
Yeah. Okay. We actually have some time now for questions. So are there questions in the room here? Oh, there we go. I think a mic is coming your way.
Thank you. Earlier, at the beginning of the presentation, you were talking about culture in different countries and how different it is. How do you incorporate, if the originating company is Canadian, but they're offshoring their contact center, for example, in a different country? How do you ensure that that culture, the Canadian culture, is still resonating from those offshore areas?
Are you able to speak to that, Andy?
I think it comes down to training and building I hate the word company culture, but you have to have your teams wherever, we have, teams all over the globe. We want the same experience to be, from our customers, if they're talking to me, if they're talking to someone in Australia or wherever. So it's the same thing with customer service agents. Look, we deal with, a lot of offshore contact center agents all the time. Some of those experiences can be really bad. Some of them can be really good. So you can tell which companies are putting the emphasis on, this is how we operate. And you as a representative of our company, this is the expectation for when a customer reaches out to you, this is how you're going to treat them.
So would that include, because you spoke of cadence, some countries speak faster, some speak slower, things like that. Are you saying that that should be incorporated within the training? Not just, this is our brand, this is our culture, this is how we do things, but this is the culture of the company, but this is how the Canadian culture needs to be incorporated offshore as well?
I believe so. It's getting the buy-in from them to do that, and then bringing in the AI part of the story, which I'm passionate about, obviously. Having the AI there to handle any differences that are in there as well.
Thank you.
One thing I'll add to that, because I was former contact center leader, is we looked at outsourcing and looked at a variety of different countries and companies. And to your point, it's really trying to find the right company. One of the things that we did was looking at, we thought this might be the right area, this is the right company, but let's take just one of our queues, a simple queue, and pilot that through the organization after going through training, after going through everything that Andy just talked about, to see if that would be effective. Other questions? One there.
Thank you. So we operate in multiple languages and support our customers in multiple languages globally, and just want to circle back on what you started off by saying about translation and AI and translating the tone and not just the words. And we're still struggling with that. We're evaluating different solutions and trying to see, and specifically in our case, we have a very technical software. So even the technical terminology, we're trying to train also the AI to understand the lingo, as part of that. Just curious about your experience or any recommendation, because you seem to have experimented in that space a bit.
I would say one thing that will help with that is a library of good interactions where those terms are coming up. Again, AI only works if it knows what to analyze and what to look for. So what does a good conversation look like? One of our customers is taking transcripts from what they consider to be good calls, and they're using that to train the AI that's answering calls and the AI that's helping agents, so that it all the lingo and all the little nuances in the between every business. They know what the good call looks like. They have their ways of operating. So if we use that as a template to feed that into the LLM, then that's going to set up a chance for success.
But does it take into consideration things like sarcasm? Like,
Absolutely. That's where I was getting at. How is the AI processing? Is it processing the actual audio file, or are you just doing a strict processing of the transcript? Because you lose so much insight when you're just looking at text. So that's why everything that we do starts with voice. That's in our DNA. We've been in telecom for 27 years now, and so with voice and the sentiment, the tone, the speed, the pauses can really tell a much better story than just the actual words being used.
And then doing that in different languages.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
Hi, we talked earlier about that integration of feedback into continuous improvement. I work for a not-for-profit healthcare provider in Australia. We're really good at doing actions, and we've got thematic analysis happening across our surveys, our incident management system, so we know where to action and what to do. We do that, but we're not good at that feedback loop of "you said we did" approach, and I think we miss out on that. Have you come across any innovative ways to share that back to the consumers, going, "You said this, we did this, these are the outcomes"?
So let me see if I can just synthesize your question. So the CSAT data that you're collecting and the insights, how do you push that back to customers?
Yeah,
their
sort of
teams.
sharing this, like you've told us this is what we're going to improve on. Mm-hmm. We've now sort of worked on this program or done more research into this is the outcome, and this is based on what you told us.
Okay. Using that as the guidance for your agents is one thing. The other is, if we're seeing CSAT on, negative CSAT on specific issues, let's take that feedback and make it visible to the customer that, hey, we understand this is an issue, here's how we're fixing it. So let's make it easier for you to solve it yourself. Let's make a knowledge-based article that's on our website, because that's essentially where most customers are going to start first is, let me go to your website and try to solve it myself, and then if I have to, I'll call you. So, taking that insight and making it visible at the fingertip of the customer, I think is the first step.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.